Okay. Go.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Espresso with Saul. I'm going to grab a shot of espresso, but before I do, I just wanted to give you all a heads up. Look, I'd love to tell you guys I'm a full-time, I guess I'm not really a YouTuber, but obviously I'm not. Look guys, please bear with me. I do appreciate all of you who have been diligently watching the videos every week. I started off actually wanting to do this twice a week, and I don't have the time for it right now. So we're still trying to put out a video for you guys once a week, but this is a very busy time of year for me and for us as a family. I'm trying to get out there, do some hunting. I'm probably going to be gone for about 10 days elk hunting here shortly. So look, please bear with me. I know I've already missed a video 2, 3, 4 weeks back, and I may have another one missing here in the near future. We'll try to make it up to you guys, so stick with me. And I'm going to have a shot of espresso. And this is 9.8 seconds at a number 9 grind, already pre-ground, so you don't have to listen to it. See how we look today. Good pressure. Sometimes the pressure is not immediate when I release the handle, and it doesn't kick in until farther up. Sometimes the pressure is lower and I can stop it right here at the midway point. But I always try and stop it after it's risen up about a quarter of a pump and just let it sit to maybe a half a pump, somewhere in that range depending on how much pressure. All right, check this out. Delicious. Yeah, that really does hit the spot. Fantastic. Good way to start a video. Okay. You know, I had some people asking me in the comments about Paul and technology. Did Paul use tech? Did Paul like tech? If he didn't like tech, why? Well, look, obviously I'm not 30 years old, and neither was Paul. Paul was in the military, you know, back in the 80s, in the 90s, and into the 2000s. And what I'll tell you is, every time we used a piece of tech back in the day, it would fail, it would break, it wouldn't ever work more often than not. Sometimes you'd get yourself a good piece of tech, but the batteries would last for 30 minutes. It just didn't make sense. Now, here in the last 10 years, maybe even 15 years, things have really, really picked up. But Paul would carry a rifle just like this. His was a Colt A1. This isn't even an A1. This is actually what Paul would call a Master of the Bush XM15, and this here would be the A3. This is my tribute rifle to Paul, though. I'm not going to run out and get a Colt. Actually, this is one that I had made specifically to my needs here. Everybody else was getting a heavy barrel back in the day. I didn't want a heavy barrel. I wanted pretty much as light as I could get, but I wanted a newer rifle. In hindsight, I probably should have gotten the A1, but that's neither here nor there. And this has been a very good rifle for me. I even put the A1 hand grips on it as a tribute to Paul. And yeah, very nice, very light, great shooting rifle. But as I get older, tech has gotten better. My eyesight's been diminishing a little bit, and wow, I've been converting a lot of my handguns to red dots. Now, would Paul have done that? No, no. As long as Paul had eyesight that he could use, he would never have switched over. I think I told the story once. I bought he didn't even like scopes on his rifles. I think he had more scopes on his rifles right before he passed than he ever had when we were out hunting. Typically, he would have one rifle without a scope on it and one rifle with a scope. And more often than not, he wouldn't even use the scoped rifle for deer hunting. Now, when he got his 444 Marlin, that lever action, he always had a scope on that one. And boy, he could shoot the heck out of that one. I remember watching Paul shoot antlers off of a deer that was running full bore at about 200 yards, and he shot that. He hit the antler one side, just knocked it clean off. So that thing was hauling butt. It really was, and it was amazing to watch Paul wing a shot at that and come that close. But that one got away. We got half a horn. I would show up with some tech or with some goodies, and we would show it to Paul. Hey, Paul, what do you think of this? Hey, Paul, what do you think of that? And, once Paul made up his mind something wasn't any good, he'd just go, yeah, I don't like that. I even showed him this thermal imaging scope. Now, there's a learning curve with this. I'm not great with this yet. I need more rounds through this than what I have. And practicing with thermal imaging is more difficult than you'd think. Trying to find the right time and the right place and the right targets, it just is hard to get rounds down range with these things. And I showed Paul how this worked, and he was just like, yeah, don't really like it. Well, this fits a niche in my collection, and I really do intend on getting more and more and more rounds down range with it. But even though he was my mentor, he was my teacher, I have obviously strayed away from the path a little bit. When you look at, this is some sort of an AR pistol. Boy, it's got so many whistles and bells all over it, it's not even funny. We've got the infrared laser sight. We've got the red dot with multiple different reticles on it. Now, one thing that I always do on all of my weapons is I'm going to have backup iron sights. There's just no way that I'm going to count on everything working perfectly all the time. Oh, by the way, this has a 7.5-inch barrel. This is my Steyr AUG. Look at this. Steyr AUG has a 16-inch barrel, and I gotta tell you, they both weigh about the same, and really, I'm not gaining a lot. I should say, I'm gaining a lot more with this for something that is just a little bit bigger than what this is. I thought by picking up this pistol here, I'd have a nice, easily stashable firearm, and it is. It does go in a gym bag quite well, and it does have all the whistles and bells that we've been discussing, but I'm not 100% convinced that's the way I'm going to roll. I think I may just want to slide this into a gym bag and call it good. 16-inch barrel, 7.5-inch barrel. I think what we're going to end up doing is going out to the chronograph, of which, yes, I did pick up a chronograph, and we're going to take them out and we're going to see what the difference in velocities are and see what we can do. I keep getting sidetracked because I have all of these cool goodies. sitting here on the table. You know, I've got my night vision goggles. You know, Paul did have night vision goggles. And once again, training with them, unless you have your own private range that you can use in the middle of the night, you know, it can be very difficult to train with them. But, you know, I've got this Laugo Alien here that I typically use with a red dot sight, but check this out. This is a thermal sight right here on my handgun. Basically, what you have here is a screen in the back of it. Now, one of the things that I've found with these thermal sights for handguns and for carbines, the field of view is not very big. And this is no exception whatsoever. It's not a very large field of view. So, train, practice. Is it something I'm going to use all the time? No, but I do have it for specific scenarios. Would Paul have gotten that? I don't know. Probably not. But then again, who knows what he would have done here, you know, 10 years down the road. Would he be testing out tech? You know, he may very well have been. You know, if he'd already run the gambit of showing you guys all of his tricks of the trade for shooting and everything else, you know, he may very well have expanded onto that. You know, look what Roy has. Roy's got a bunch of red dots. He's got a bunch of whistles and bells. So, who knows? You know, I'm not here to speak for Paul. I'm just telling you about my experience with Paul and showing you some of the cool stuff that I have here that I've veered away from the school of Paul Harrell. Some other members of the crew would show technology to Paul, and, you know, not once did he ever get swayed by them. You know, he would say, sometimes he would say, oh, that's cool. And sometimes he'd just say, I don't like that. And once he said, I don't like that, that was it. There was no going back. There was no changing his mind. And another reason why he didn't really care for tech, you know, I was watching a video on today's servicemen, and these guys are running around carrying 100 pounds worth of gear on them. So they're talking about saving weight here and there where they can. Well, I'm certainly not running around carrying 100 pounds worth of gear on me. I'm not an operator. The only time I am one is when I kill your kids or your grandkids on Call of Duty. So other than that, no. I don't even pretend to be an operator. One of the other reasons that Paul avoided tech is the reason why he loved his Colt A1 is because of how light it is. It is an incredibly light rifle. It's lighter than this A3 that I've got here. It was just easy to carry, easy to get around with. And they're talking about today's soldiers running around with 100 pounds worth of gear. Well, I know Paul could do that, but most of us aren't soldiers in the military. We're not going to be running around with 100 pounds worth of gear. Yeah, I see his point of view. I don't want to be hauled. The only time I want to have a 100-pound pack on my back or more is when I'm hauling out a dead elk that that I'm harvesting. That's the only time I want a 100-pound pack on my back anymore. It's funny, this Steyr AUG weighs more than this XM15 does. That shouldn't be the case. And this pistol right here, you know, it may weigh about the same, but in this small package, yeah, I don't know, guys. If you're training to be an operator, okay, great. But I think for most of us, I think we need to find a fine line between what we're really going to use and what we really just want to play with. I mean, over here, this is my other tech AR, and this one, I've tried to get it as light as I possibly can, but let me show you something here. This is a Steiner D-Ball dual beam aligned laser, and so that's got the standard laser, and it's got the infrared laser for my night vision goggles, and it's got the illuminator on it. Oh, it's got all the whistles and bells on it. Really cool. But boy, it just makes everything so much more heavy. A lot of times I just take the darn thing off and I don't use it unless I'm really going to need it. You know, you've got your 3 times magnifier to go with your red dot, and it just increases the weight of everything. Now, I'm not telling you what to do, but you know, Paul really did make a lot of sense with go a light. If we have to run outside of our houses and run around and play soldier, honestly, lighter probably is better. Are we going to need all of this tech? Well, let's hope not, because if we do, we're probably all really in trouble. So, should you run out and get all this cool tech and have it on all of your weaponry? Maybe. Are you going to need it all when the time comes? Let's hope not, because if we do, we're all in a world of hurt. But is it fun to train with? Sure it is. Is it fun to take out there and learn how to use it effectively? Sure it is. Was Paul better than you and me with just his A1? Sure he was. Does all of this stuff make me better? Yeah, maybe. I'd say the red dots on the handguns made me better. I don't know how many of you watched the video with Roy rolling down the soda jugs down the hill. I was in that video with him, and you know, it's funny. Couldn't hit anything with my revolvers without my glasses on, but boy, the red dots, boom, 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 knocked him out pretty quick. So yeah, some of it is pretty effective. So maybe what you do is, and once again, I'm not telling you to do this, but maybe what you consider doing is try them. See if they work for you. See what works. See what doesn't. I have this really cool assortment of stuff, and is this too much? Probably. But you know what? In an upcoming video, we're going to put this up against my Steyr AUG and see, is it any better? Anyway, I'm rattling on. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I really will try and be diligent with the videos, but please bear with me if I go a week or two without. We will have them back up and running. And thanks for joining Espresso with Saul. See you next time.